Have you thought about investing in a sandwich franchise? Maybe you saw Subway, Firehouse Subs, Quiznos, Jimmy John's, Which. There's a ton of different sandwich franchises. We're going to go through some of the big players, what's happened recently in this industry, as well as how was it affected during the COVID pandemic in 2020 and 2021. So first up, you have Jimmy John's. This chain has been around since 1983 and now has over 2,600 locations nationwide. It's been successful focusing on fresh ingredients. All the sandwiches are made with freshly baked bread, as well as top quality meats and cheese. And if you're in a hurry, they have their own speedy delivery service. When I was working in the Brickell neighborhood of Miami, I saw the Jimmy John's delivery guys on bike nonstop and were able to deliver in a super fast time. I'm talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the time you place your order. Next up, you have Subway. This chain has kind of stalled over the last few years, at least in the US, where there's been a net loss of 1,000, 1,500 Subway restaurants every year for the past few years. Their success in the past has been attributed to the marketing of the sandwiches as the alternative healthy food to a McDonald's or other burger chains, which at the end of the day, it's processed meat and it hasn't proved to be as healthy as they marketed. And there's been a lot of scandals in terms of, is it really tuna that's going into the tuna that they're serving you? Or is it some other kind of meat, not even a fish product? They became famous with the footlong promotion, which was a huge success for attracting customers and making money for the franchisor because they're getting a percentage of the top line revenue. But franchisees weren't a big fan of pretty much across the board of the footlong promotion because it was cheap and they weren't making much money on the sell of footlong subs for $5. It cost a lot of money at the end of the day, and little was going to the franchisees. You have Panera Bread, which we've done videos in the past more extensively on these three brands. It's been around since 1987, currently has over 2,000 locations nationwide. When it was traded on the NASDAQ, the returns were insane. I'm talking about 50x returns from the time it IPO'd until the time it was bought by a private equity fund. There was talks that it was going to IPO again as a standalone entity, Panera Bread, but that fell through. You also have Jersey Mike's, which compared to Subway, where average unit volumes have been going down or barely going up over the last 15 years, Jersey Mike's 20 years back, the average Jersey Mike's was making 400K, 500K. And every year it's had high single digit growth, low double digit growth that has compounded. So now Jersey Mike's are doing average unit volume, average sales of $1.1 million. So in terms of a competition against the sandwich franchises out there, we also did another video on Firehouse Subs. It was recently acquired by Restaurant Brands International and looks well poised for growth. Generally lower entry into the system compared to a Jersey Mike's. But in terms of the top sandwich brands right now going into 2023, Jimmy John's is kind of fluttering together with Subway, where Firehouse Subs, Jersey Mike's are really increasing units at a strong pace. And the franchisees seem to be making money and getting their initial investment back at a pretty decent rate compared to Subway franchisees where they're working super hard and generally there's not enough profit margin to hire a day-to-day manager. So if you're the owner of a Subway, you're generally working in that Subway, or maybe you have 2-3 max, as there's just not enough money to go around to pay that day-to-day manager. When looking at restaurant franchise concepts, you definitely want to look at franchises that have average unit volume above 500,000, ideally above $800,000. Why? It's not getting cheaper. Leases, food costs. There's a lot of expenses. So for it to be worth your time and be able to scale with a manager in place, generally for a sandwich concept, the sales should be above 800,000. You do have some brands like Jersey Mike's that have passed $1 million in average sales. Those are some things to consider when you're looking at sandwich franchises in the United States. Be sure to check out Vetted Biz, as we have all sorts of sandwich concepts. And I believe last time I checked, there were over 50 franchises in the United States that focus primarily on selling subs and sandwiches. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Give us a like if you liked today's video, and comment if there's other concepts you'd like us to dive deeper into.